The prototype inside this box was flown and hand delivered to me by Asus. And I can tell you with certainty that while I'm not allowed to tell you the exact specs, this is not just another Steam Deck clone. Because it's more like 2 Steam Deck clones. They are claiming literally double the performance, twice the refresh rate, more than double the resolution, and I am one of only 2 people outside of Asus who gets to show off the ROG Ally prototype today. And I'm the only one who gets to show you our sponsor. Zoho One, who's here to help you take your business to the next level. Their all-in-one software suite has everything you need to streamline your operations and boost productivity. From CRM to finance, marketing to HR, Zoho One has got you covered. So head to the link below for a free 30-day trial. On first glance, it would be pretty easy to assume that Asus simply saw the Steam Deck, thought, yeah, we could do that, and then sharded out the ROG Ally. But their team has actually spent the last 10 years working on various handheld console concepts, just waiting for an opening in a difficult market that has chewed up and spit out numerous experienced players over the years. And the biggest thing that proves this isn't just another copycat design is what I'm doing right now. Asus obsessed over how people actually use these handheld devices, finding that they don't want them to be too big, they also don't want them to be too small, and they want them to be genuinely comfortable to hold. Now, when you first pick up the ROG Ally, it isn't very comfortable, to be perfectly honest with you. I have a hard time reaching the shoulder buttons, and these bottom corners here just like kind of dig into my hand. But then watch this, and it's perfect. These little contours here at the bottom right and left are designed for the device to be held at an angle with the screen actually facing your face, and in many cases resting, either on the desk in front of you or on your lap. In terms of buttons, it's a pretty bog standard Xbox layout. We've got our start and select here and here, or whatever Microsoft calls those buttons. I actually don't know what these other buttons do. Oh, I guess we're gonna find. Oh, okay, so that switches between Windows and your game. Quick switcher, and oh, that brings up their command center. Ooh, I really like this quick switcher between mouse mode. Is this to make it like keyboard jointed mouse or whatever?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. Quick toggle between 60 and 120 hertz refresh rate. Oh man, I have been waiting for someone to do 120 hertz. I know it's worse for battery life. Okay, I know it's more expensive, but there are a lot of games, particularly emulated games, enthusiast, that you totally could run at 120 frames per second and would totally run on this hardware, especially this hardware. I am loving these RGB joysticks. In terms of buttons, the good thing about the joysticks is they're full size, so you'll get the same level of control that you would get with a Steam Deck. The bad news is you'll get the same level of control as you will with the Steam Deck. They're not Hall effect, which means that even though you can calibrate the 0 point, so you shouldn't suffer from drift, knock on wood, you can't fully eliminate dead zones, and they might not have the same level of durability. D-pad feels solidly okay. It's far from the best I've felt, but it's not nearly the worst. And while I'm not a huge fan of long travel ABXY buttons, these aren't bad. I mean, I'd say they're about like you'd get on like an Xbox controller. Though it should be noted that this is a prototype device, and I would love for that to improve. Asus is here supervising. Now that I'm in position, the shoulder and trigger buttons are very easy to access. These seem like analog triggers, though they haven't confirmed that for me yet. And like the Steam Deck, and unlike many other competing Windows handhelds on the market, they've got additional buttons on the back of the device, though not as many as the Steam Deck. This looks flippin' awesome. I'm not allowed to show you guys FPS, but Asus says that at 15 watts, they are up to 50% faster than the Steam Deck, and at 35 watts, they are double the performance. At 7 inches, 1080p looks crazy sharp. Okay, if this is running variable refresh rate, it makes sense that it was so hard for me to nail down what FPS it's running at, because if it dips below the panel's variable refresh rate range, then it'll really start to chug, and as long as it's within that range, it's gonna look shockingly smooth. So if I had to guess, I'd say we're seeing anywhere from 45 FPS down to it's probably dipping to about 20, and that's where I'm really seeing those stutters. No matter how you slice it though, This is incredibly impressive. We're not even in game yet. I am loving this display. Okay, not only does it run at a higher resolution than the Steam Deck, it also hits a peak of 500 nits, which is more than, I think that's higher than any of the handhelds we've tested recently. And it's rated at just 7 milliseconds for pixel response times. Now, that doesn't sound that impressive compared to some of the latest gaming monitors that boasting sub 1 millisecond response times. But you gotta understand that even on something like a gaming laptop, the native pixel response time is gonna be pretty similar to this. They're just overdriving those pixels. So this is gonna be at least a clean 7 milliseconds, which at 60 hertz is gonna look great, and 120 hertz should be okay. Wow, this is running really smooth. I wasn't even thinking about it, which is the mark of good. Okay, we're only at 720p though. You guys need to change it so that I can toggle to manual mode as well. Once I configure my manual mode, I should be able to just toggle to manual mode. Dude though, this is so smooth. If you play lighter games, indie games, emulated games, 120 hertz makes so much sense. I'm all the way back down to 15 watts performance mode, and this is still an outstanding experience. It's everything. It's the responsiveness, it's being able to nail the timing, it's the smoothness of the animations. If you're playing lighter games, you know, retro games, emulated games, there's just no comparison here. Really, at 15 watts, you guys are rating this at 20 decibels? I mean, yeah, I believe it. And we've got some insights to share with you guys on how they're getting it so quiet, even though we're not allowed to open it today. First though, let's see if we're even getting the main benefit of these fans being so quiet. Can we play something like a rhythm game on this and actually enjoy it, unlike on the Steam Deck? I can't say I miss Audio Surf, but these speakers sound great though. I've only got this at about 30% right now.
What?
That is a very full sound considering the size of this device. All right. It's not like I don't have any complaints, right? No Hall effect joysticks, for example, but Asus pointed out that they are very replaceable, so it wouldn't be a surprise if third-party options did show up. I didn't notice the weight, but they wanted me to mention that it's exactly 608 grams, which is apparently a lucky number or something like that. The triggers and shoulders no longer bothered me at all once I was actually playing games, but I do want to see the stabilization of these improve. Okay, let's change gears though and talk about cooling. The way that they achieve this level of quiet, aside from just putting in a quality thermal solution instead of like weird janky fans that make a lot of noise, is by using a heat pipe with a 2-element heatsink. So that's why it's got 2 exhausts over here and 2 separate intakes. They managed to pack 2 fans into this thing in addition to this hardware that is double the performance of the Steam Deck under ideal conditions. Now seems like a good time to talk about I/O. There's a headphone jack up here. We've got a micro SD slot, UHS 2, pretty cool. A really funky looking USB-C port, we'll talk more about that later. Volume buttons, as well as a fingerprint sensor that includes a single sign-on, I think is what that's called or whatever. Basically, it caches your fingerprint when you turn on the device and then logs all the way into your Windows profile. So if you have multiple profiles because you share your device with your kids or your SO or whatever, you just turn it on and it'll drop you right in your profile. They're not letting me show the motherboard and the internals to you guys, but I did see them, and there's a couple of things that I'm allowed to share with you. First, that the SSD is a 2230 sized SSD, so likely it'll ship with 1 terabyte max storage. And the second is that the battery capacity should be pretty competitive with the Steam Deck. What I wanna know though, is does it fit in the little handheld storage spot on our backpack? LTTstore.com. Oh, this is not the standard backpack. This is prototype 1, don't worry too much about that. But it's the same size, and the answer is yes. Okay, remember how I was gonna talk about that funky USB-C connector that was like 3 times as wide? The Ally has no Thunderbolt or USB 4, and that's because of that connector. It's Asus's XG mobile connection, and it allows you to plug in an external GPU like this one. There is a part of me that wishes it was Thunderbolt because that would make it compatible with third-party GPU docks rather than just this one. But there is an advantage to this approach. It's PCIe by 8 rather than PCIe by 4 with a whole bunch of Thunderbolt protocol overhead. So what that means is, unlike Thunderbolt, there's actually a point in connecting an RTX 4090 mobile to this thing. It shouldn't be nearly as bottlenecked. I absolutely love the XG Mobile on my Flow X13. When it works, it can be a little bit flaky, but the difference is that Asus sent me mine. I didn't have to pay for it, and at the price that this thing costs, it is pretty tough to justify. To be clear, it's not Asus that I blame for this. They won't confirm the real reason, but I have no doubt in my mind that it's because of NVIDIA. NVIDIA is extremely fussy about the products that their GPUs are built into. And they have arbitrary rules like, well, if it's connected to a laptop, it has to be a mobile chip, even though we're talking about the XG Mobile, which isn't really mobile. It's a product that will only ever run plugged into the wall. So in my mind, Asus has got to work with AMD then to use desktop class GPUs in, maybe a slightly larger enclosure, or build compatibility with the XG Mobile interface into their eGPU Thunderbolt enclosures for regular graphics cards. That would make the XG Mobile affordable and upgradable, because right now it's neither, which is a shame because with it, you can easily turn this thing into the Switch Pro that the market is so hungry for. By the way, Asus asked us to show you a couple of their new products. This isn't one of them, but this is, how the hell do I pronounce this? Raikiri Pro? Yeah. This is their new Raikiri Pro. It has a screen on it. It's almost exactly the same layout as an Xbox controller, but it's slightly smaller because some people find it to be a little bit big. And it's got 4 buttons on the back, as well as these adjustable, whether you want the trigger to work as a trigger or as just another shoulder button, little switches, I forget what these are called. But they also wanted me to show off this thing. This is actually a super cool companion for the Ally. It allows you to charge the Ally via USB-C. You also get an extra USB port and an HDMI output for the Ally just plugged into the wall. It's really compact. I would use the Raikiri, but it's apparently an engineering unit and does not work yet. Okay, if this is a Zen4 mobile CPU, based on what I've seen from Zen4 so far and its efficiency, I'm going ultimate 4K with this mobile 4090. It should work, right? It's funny, the Asus reps were like, yeah, we were surprised at how little bottlenecking there is, but mobile 4090 is not as fast as a real 4090. So yeah, it's only PCIe Gen 3 by 8, but that's lots of bandwidth. And because it's not Thunderbolt, there's no bi-directional communication really. It's not outputting over the laptop's display or anything like that. It's just outputting to your monitor over HDMI or over a DisplayPort. It's a plenty fast chip, and this CPU is clearly fast enough. This is well over 60 frames per second. No, I don't know. Blah. I love it when the camera's like this. This is really great. Oi! Come on! Either way, this is running amazing. It should once you've spent probably about $2,500, but still. Over the past year, we've had several other devices hit the market looking to scratch that next-gen itch that some of the more enthusiast-level handheld gamers are looking for. And truthfully, I am one of them, because as much as I love the Steam Deck, I don't daily drive it. This is partly because of the loud fan, but the size, the more limited game compatibility, and the performance are also factors. Now, obviously the price of the Steam Deck is a major selling point, all other things being equal. But all other things are not equal anymore. We won't know the exact price of this device until it shows up on Best Buy shelves and around the world in the next few months. But being this much faster, all of a sudden it could make sense. And if you were hoping that Valve would simply refresh the Steam Deck to match the Ally's performance, but at their existing price, think again. Recently, Valve has gone on the record stating that while they are working on the Steam Deck 2, it's not coming for a long time, which in Valve time is, I don't know, let's put it this way. We just got Counter-Strike 2. Valve's custom SoC strategy then was a big advantage for them at launch, but it's starting to look like a liability. Much like the cycle we see with the traditional console players, where they launch a new console, it's absolutely killer compared to a custom PC, and then it becomes long in the tooth and a custom PC starts to look like the obvious choice until they refresh and so on and so forth. So while the Steam Deck did a great job of getting people back into handheld gaming, especially playing PC games, and the low barrier to entry is amazing at $400, some of you have more money that you'd like to spend, and this is starting to look like it could offer enough to justify whatever that higher price is. There's gonna be a lot more for us to cover in the full review. The faster UHS-2 microSD slot, for example. Does it affect loading times? I don't know. We might be able to objectively measure device speakers in our lab by then. How does it compare to the competition? And how does all of this performance translate to power savings? I mean, what if Steam Deck performance is lots, but I'd rather just run it sub 15 watts to get an extra hour or two of battery? You're gonna have to stay tuned to find out. And stay tuned for this message from our sponsor.
Gorgias. Gorgias is a customer support platform that aims to revolutionize the way that businesses interact with their customers. You can integrate with your platform of choice like Shopify, Instagram, or Facebook. Gorgias offers a single, unified dashboard that allows businesses to manage all of their customer support channels in one place. They can respond to customer inquiries through email, live chat, phone, or social media. Gorgias offers a range of tools to help businesses personalize their support. And this includes the ability to create customer profiles that include information such as order history and previous support interactions. In addition, Gorgias provides businesses with valuable insights and analytics on their customer support operations, including response times, customer satisfaction, and overall team performance. Provide your customers with fast, personalized, and efficient support just like us. That's right, we use Gorgias here at LMG, and you love us. So check out Gorgias using the link below.
If you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy our full review of the Steam Deck. The software has changed a lot since we did that, but it's a great overview of the hardware, which is absolutely outstanding, at least at the price.